Miami street circuit course, Biscayne Bay, and it really is quite a cool circuit actually, and it's classic American, isn't it, with all the 90 degrees.
Yeah, absolutely. Typical 90-degree corners. Only 2 curbs on the track. In the tracks we've been at, you've been used to having apex curbs defined by curbs themselves. Here we've got concrete walls mostly. You make a slight mistake, you're going to end up on the outside wall with a broken suspension.
So there is Scott Speed, a newcomer this weekend. And he is a man with a lot of experience. 28 Formula One Grand Prix starts. 118 NASCAR Sprint Cup races as well to his name, and it's great to have him here as an American, because he's the only American driver in the field, but driving for Andretti, and with the pace he's got, I think he really will have a good chance to get a good result. We can now hear from Roger Penske, the boss of the whole Penske organisation. He's with Nikki.
Well, Roger Penske, it's great to have you here, the first Formula E race in Miami, in the USA. How's it going so far?
Well, I wouldn't miss it. It's my son's team, and having the opportunity to be here in Miami in a nice, warm climate, I'm really impressed with the teams. The layout of the whole organization has been excellent. So I'm waiting for the race, but a new type of racing. I'm waiting to hear the noise. I haven't heard that yet, but good drivers, too. I'm really impressed with the quality of the drivers, the teams. The whole formation is excellent here, so I take my hat off to the organizers.
And what do you think of the street circuit here in Miami?
Well, we've raced here in Miami in the Indy cars a number of times. It's hard to tell without going out around the circuit, but it's bumpy, but that's good. It makes the cars a little harder to drive for these guys, and they earn their money that way.
Do you think it's important for Formula E to have a race here where there's so much motorsport heritage already?
Well, I think Formula E, we look at electric vehicles around the world, and it's certainly going to be something we'll all have to have at some point. I think that this series is ahead of the curve, which is important in any world and any business. So I think it's important, and to have it here in Miami and then again in Los Angeles in a couple of weeks is going to be great.
Now, obviously, you're one of the most renowned team owners here. Is there a pressure, do you think, on the Dragon guys racing in their home soil?
Well, I think that, my son Jay has put this team together on his own. It's his own commitment to Formula E. I think he's done a great job. He's got 2 great drivers of the week. Duval won Le Mans, and D'Ambrosio. I mean, just nice guys. And I expect good performance and pressure. There's always pressure. We got to win.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoy your day, and we'll be keeping our fingers crossed for Dragon.
All right,
Thanks.
The label legend is bandied around quite a lot in motorsport, but I think it applies.
Oh, it's a legend right there. Roger Penske is in America, in the world, he's one of the greatest team owners. A massive passion for racing, unbelievably successful. Such a details guy, hires the best people, and never got to drive for him. Loved racing against him, especially those days when you could beat him because you knew you'd beaten him and his organisation, being the absolute best. So wonderful to see him here and supporting Jay and the Dragon team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant to have them here, mainly having their success in the States. They did have a foray into Formula One at the time. Won the first Grand Prix was John Watson, who won it in the 1976 Austrian Grand Prix at the Österreich Ring.
Very good, Jack.
Thank you very much.
I am very impressed.
Didn't even have to look that one up. So we can now hear from Nico Prost, moving back to the present day, a man who's taken 2 pole positions so far this season. He's with Nicky.
Well, Nico Prost, you had a pretty impressive race in Buenos Aires, your first podium. Are we going to see the same again here today in Miami?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. It was obviously a really good result in Buenos Aires, but I think with the championship you need to score points all the time. So I'm going to do my best, try to be up front, in qualifying, then have a good race, and then we'll see tonight where I can end up. Of course, I would like to win, be really nice, but it's going to be a tough fight. A lot of good drivers.
And we've had one session already out on track. What do you think of the track? I mean, the location is absolutely incredible.
No, it's a fantastic location. The track is very good. It's a bit difficult with the bumps, but it's really interesting. Probably one of the best tracks we've had so far. So yeah, I mean, now let's see how it goes in qualifying.
So how is the bumpy road going to affect your driving?
They are here. You cannot get. You have to get over them, so you have to deal with them. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. You have to be a bit careful on the braking. You have to adapt, but it's the same for everybody.
A reminder of what street racing is all about.
Street racing, is it? Sorry.
A reminder of what street racing is all about.
Yes, no, definitely. I think this is probably the most street track we've had so far, with the bumps, the railway and everything. But it makes it interesting and challenging, so it's good.
And this is obviously a very big race. It's the first race in the USA.
Yeah, I mean, I love racing in the USA, you know, like I raced a lot of endurance racing in Sebring and Petit Le Mans, and the atmosphere is usually fantastic, so I hope it will be the same today.
Well, we wish you all the best. Thanks so much.
It's going to be tough for Nico Prost because he's going out in the first group in qualifying. The way it works is that, and you can see actually through there, that's the Miami Marlins baseball stadium, that big white building, that sort of dome just through the gap in the buildings you could see there. But yeah, it's going to be tough for Nico Prost because he's out in the first group of qualifying. They are split into 4 10-minute groups with 5 drivers in each group, and the man who does the quickest time obviously gets to start on pole position. But we've seen so far this season, Dario, that normal logic would make you think that the last group is the best one to be in, but actually it seems to be pretty even.
Yeah, I think every qualifying session I said that. I got it wrong, so I'm just going to sit here and be quiet today. But here's a good look at the qualifying groups.
Yeah, so in Group 1 there, you can see we have Loic Duval, a newcomer this weekend, Nico Prost and Buemi, so both of the e.dams cars out there in Group 1, Jarno Trulli and Nick Heidfeld. So actually, I'd say 3 of those 5 are proper pole position contenders, and then Duval and Trulli maybe are going to be running towards the front. Qualifying Group 2, you've got Sam Bird, who was the quickest man in free practice. He's out in Group 2. Lucas Di Grassi there as well, Scott Speed, and then you've got Chandok and Abt in the second group of qualifying. Group number 3 is Tonio Liuzzi on his Formula E debut, Jean-Eric Verne, Stefan Sarazan, Charles Pic and Nelson Piquet Jr., so both Team China cars out in Group number 3. And Group number 4, you have Jaime Alguersuari, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Bruno Senna, and then the 2 Amlin cars, Da Costa and Duran. So I think in that final group, you're probably looking at a Alguersuari or a Senna to try and get that pole position, depending on what Amlin Aguri's pace is like. So those are the 4 groups, and it'll be getting underway in just 4 minutes' time. There you can see the head out towards South Beach. We can now hear from Tonio Liuzzi, a newcomer to the championship this weekend. He's driving with the Trulli team, and he's talking to Nicky Shields.
Well, last minute changes to the driver lineup, and you're here racing for Formula E, and I believe you just come off your holiday. What happened?
It's a great feeling to be here this weekend. Actually, I was on holiday with my wife here in Miami, and now I'm having the perfect end of our vacation here racing for Formula E for Jarno's team, and it's an amazing feeling. Great drivers, great championship, and a wonderful location.
Now, you've just had the first session out on track. What were your first impressions?
Quite different, I have to say, to what I've always been used to. The car is strange to drive because obviously I never drove an electric engine, a full electric engine, but it's quite nice. I enjoyed a lot. The track is really cool and the car is behaving well. The team did a good job to put everything together in such a short time. Unfortunately, we had less time as normal for free practice, and now we are trying to get as ready as possible for qualifying.
So the pressure was already on you, but now it's really on you. How are you going to change your approach for the strategy later this afternoon?
I'm trying to be as relaxed as possible, try to manage as many laps as I can during every session I can. Even qualify for me will be a learning curve, but the team is doing a really good job for me. It's helping me to approach and learn how I can do some steps better than normal, not just with the kilometer. Jarno has been a really great teammate and a boss, so I'm really looking forward to this qualifying.
We hope you have a successful end to your holiday. Thanks very much.
Great to have Tonio Liuzzi here in the championship. Let's have a little look around this circuit. So this is the start line here, where they will begin the race when the lights go out along Biscayne Boulevard, down on the right-hand side as we look at it, coming towards us into Turn 1, which is the left-hander in front of the Andretti offices, and then they head around this little looped section. That's 11th Street. Then they turn right here at turn number 2 onto Northeast 2nd Avenue very briefly, and then cut back onto 12th Street here. They come down towards us and in towards the right-hander, which goes into the shade here as you go under the MacArthur Causeway, which is the main route out towards Miami Beach, through this right-hander under the bridges, and then back out onto Biscayne Boulevard for another long stretch, not quite as long as the other straight on the circuit, but then they come down into this left-hander, the Heat, as they come back towards the Miami Heat Stadium, and then down towards this final corner on the circuit as far as the timing is concerned as AAA. Then that's the timing line there under the Michelin bridge, and then they come into the tight right-hand corner at Port Bend, so which is just below us here. You've got the Emotion Club where all the guests are starting to gather over on the left-hand side of screen there. Into the right-hander here at Port Bend, which will be a constant yellow flag zone in the race because you've got the pit lane exit here and everything, so it was deemed that that was the best route to take, and to be honest, it's not really an overtaking opportunity there anyway. Then they kink out onto 6th Street. There you can see some train tracks across the bottom of the screen there. They've all been filled in with sort of a rubbery substance, and then they come out towards turn number 8, the final corner before the start straight at Freedom Tower. So they turn right here and then back out over the start straight again. So as I say, this will be the start position, but the timing line and all the laps will start and end around the other side at in between turns 6 and 7. So 30 seconds until qualifying gets underway here for the Miami E-Prix, the 5th round of the season. It's been a frantic morning because they were meant to have a couple of hours of free practice, but delays overnight. There was a storm overnight, which meant that the track building was a little bit delayed, which means that we are going to have we've had a few delays, but now very soon we'll be having the start of qualifying in 2 minutes time, and that will be confirmed in a couple of moments hopefully. But it's always a massive project, Dario, to put on street circuits. I mean, IndyCar does them quite a lot, but for Formula E to do them every single race is a big undertaking.
It is a big undertaking, and what we've found is because of the really true downtown locations, it's ever so difficult to get the tracks more time to build the tracks. So they're building them in 1 and 2 days, which is a massive undertaking, as you say. And here we go, qualifying has started actually on schedule. Buemi here heading out and yeah, ready to go.
Absolutely. So let's see what Sebastian Buemi can do. He's yet to take a pole position as he comes down towards the left-hander. No, that's not true. He has in the last time out in Buenos Aires. But this is the tight left-hander that then takes them under the bridge here. But you've got Buemi out there. You've got Prost out in this session as well. So both e.dams cars are out. Loic Duval, 2013 Le Mans winner, is racing for Dragon this weekend. He's out. Jarno Trulli is out for his eponymous team, and Nick Heidfeld as well.
I think what Duval might struggle with here, what some of the guys have said, is it's so difficult. You've been practicing, and you go out and qualify, you turn the power up quite a bit, and your first lap and your first time you approach the first corner is the first time you've ever actually braked that deeply, and it really throws you off. And the brakes sometimes aren't warm, and there's a lot of things to juggle with. The drivers are having to deal with them. But look at the size of that bump there into turn 6.
So here, a little bit sideways coming out there and across the line. So the cars will now turn up to 200 kilowatts of power. For the race, they're limited to being between 130 and 150. So it is a big speed boost as he comes down into Freedom Tower, the right-hander that takes him out onto Biscayne Boulevard. And let's see what Buemi's got in.
I would say that car's running more downforce than it did in practice. Definitely got a lot more rear wing. Look where it says Renault there. You can see it's a lot clearer how much wing they're running. Braking through the little kink there, braking for turn 1. Yeah, a little bit oversteer on the full power. Turns 2 and 3 are actually one corner. Look, it's just one continuous corner. Little lift, back hard to the power there. And down to turn 4 here. One of the few corners with curbs. There's only 4 and 5 have curbs on the inside. Very bumpy through there. Now down Biscayne Boulevard, down the other direction.
Loic Duval is actually quicker than any of the other cars out there in the first sector. A long way still to go in this session, of course. They've got 10 minutes to set a lap time. They're allowed 2 laps at 200 kilowatts of power. So it's a 2-lap shootout, essentially, as he comes towards now the final corner on the circuit. A slow car up in front, which is Nick Heidfeld, but that won't affect him too much. Across the line comes Buemi, and a 1 minute 10.1. We're going to be seeing a lot quicker than that. We're going to be looking at 6s and 7s.
That was not a great lap, was it? And whether he wasn't up to 200 yet, who knows? Maybe they're doing a banker lap.
Well, I guess because they've had so little time on the circuit, maybe they're thinking, actually, we'll go out there and just do 1 lap.
Duval, P1.
Yeah, so Loic Duval jumps up to first position, 109.845. But yeah, if they haven't had that much time on track, maybe they're going to consolidate it a little bit and do a normal speed lap and then push it at 200.
There's Jarno
Trulli coming down towards the left-hander at the heat. and he has gone fastest of anyone in the middle sector. Nick Heidfeld's had a pretty strong first sector as well. Across the line comes Trulli. What sort of lap time is he going to do? A 1:7.958.
Now we're getting there.
That's more like it from Jarno, who of course is a bit of a one-lap specialist. But we're already sort of halfway through the session. Nick Heidfeld's going to be coming across the line before too long as well. Here he comes. Any improvement from him? He goes second quickest then. Fraction of a second slower than Jarno Trulli. So we've had all 5 cars complete their first lap. And I reckon those e.dams boys... Well, here comes Buemi into the final corner. This lap has been pretty slow as well. So now I think he's starting his, I'd say, first proper flying lap, but we'll wait and see.
You'd have to say, though, you watched the amount of oversteer that Buemi had on his first
true.
lap. He's got obviously a bit of power turned up to in the car, so let's see what he's got here. That was nice. That was really nice through there. Out of turn 8, good exit, good mid-corner speed. Now he's starting the lap.
There we go, and a quarter of a second quicker than anyone else. So now Buemi is pushing down towards the left-hander. You can hear the tyres screeching as he tries to get it turned in.
I think he missed the apex there. He might have lost a little bit of time here through this. Good speed through there. So missed turn 3 a little bit too.
Nico Prost has just come through the first sector and has pretty much matched Buemi. Buemi's 4 tenths up in the middle sector. Look at that, Alain Prost really getting into it. Come on, son.
There's the competitor, you see it right there.
Quite literally, come on, son, actually, in the case of Nico Prost. Down into the left-hander comes Sebastian Buemi.
Quickest in both sectors so far, Buemi.
But Nico Prost is right with him. We'll get a Nico Prost middle sector time. Prost is quicker. Look at that, almost a second up on Jarno Trulli. So Buemi comes out of the final corner across the line to set a 1:07.037. But Nico Prost is absolutely on it. Here he is, coming into the left-hander of 5. Only one more corner for the Frenchman to go.
He was mighty through sector 2.
Absolutely incredible. There's some 4 tenths of a second quicker than his teammate. Prost into the final turn, very close to the wall. Across the line, it's quicker. Wow. 1:06.286, 8 tenths of a second quicker than his teammate.
That's impressive. That's a hell of a lap. Well done.
Let's see what Nick Heidfeld has got. He's been slow, so this is Heidfeld starting his flyer. Loic Duval behind comes across the line and does a 1:09.454. So no real improvement from Duval. So Heidfeld is the man to watch now for the Venturi team, because he's just started his flying lap. Jarno Trulli is on an okay lap actually as well. In fact, he's on quite an okay lap. Big lock up at turn 5. He's only a couple of tenths down on Prost after the first couple of sectors. Down towards the final corner now comes the Italian. Really bumpy under braking. He sits so low in the car as well compared to a lot of the other drivers. Across the line goes Trulli, 3rd quickest, a 10th of a second slower than Sebastian Buemi. Now we go on board with Heidfeld. Under the bridge, into turn 4, Museum Park. And back out onto the boulevard. Flashing past, and you can see he's got some aids. We were saying this earlier on in free practices. Oh, I thought he was a bit out of shape there coming into the left-hander.
He just got it in there. Well done. That was a bit of elbows going on.
He's done personal bests in sectors 1 and 2, so he's currently 4th out of the 5 runners. Are we going to see him jump up the order? Yes, 2nd for Nick Heidfeld. Across the line he comes. Good run. Now the question is going to be, have the e.dams cars got another lap in them? That's the big question. Did they go full power on their first lap?
There's your answer. Buemi's on another lap. Let's see what this first segment tells us.
Well, he's pushing, isn't he? There's no doubt about it. Let's see what he does as he comes through the first sector. Sebastian Buemi, an 18.0 was the best so far, but he's done a 17.9 in sector 1, so Buemi's got one more lap in him still.
The tactics of this are quite smart, because now nobody else can respond because it's under 2 laps at 200.
There's, you can see him on the brakes into the right-hander, and you can see there on the right-hand side the power indicator saying he's got, whoa, but he's off! Not quite hitting the wall.
Another mistake.
Yeah, that's very, and is that going to ruin his teammates' run? Because his teammates done a 17.9 in sector 1, but now when he gets to sector 2, there's going to be a yellow flag. No, he's got going again. So Nico Prost now is the man to watch coming through sector 2. He could improve his best lap time, but that's the
Buemi
third.
Needs to get out of the way first, I would say.
Yeah, that's the 3rd time this season Buemi has made a mistake in qualifying. Here comes Nico Prost. What's his middle sector? A 21.8. That's all right. So he could still take a couple of tenths of a second off his best lap time as he comes towards the final corner now, Nico Prost. He's qualified quickest in 2 of the 4 races so far. Across the line he comes, and it's an improvement, 106.167. Really impressive start.
That is very impressive, and that could be important. Yeah, you know, as the segments go on and things tighten up a little bit, that extra 10th he just eked out there could be important.
So,
another mistake.
I know, and that was just got away from him, didn't it? Under braking for the right-hander of 4. Let's have a look at it again, Dario.
Yeah, he just looks okay there. Turned it in a little. I don't know if it just locked the rears or. It looks like he's just locked the rears a little bit. Whether that was the way they had it regenning, or I have no idea. But look, everything's fine here. Up through the gears, braking fine, no lockups. Turns in and snaps.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. I don't know.
Those moments surely are very concerning as a driver, like for the future. If it just is likely to snap like that.
I think he'll know. He'll know if the back end's locked. And what exactly has gone on. He'll have a much clearer idea than we have, but yet again another problem. There's Duval, P4, no, sorry, P5. No, yeah.
It was always going to be tough in his first race.
That's a massive amount, 2.2 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
3.2 seconds off Nico Prost at the top of the times. It'll be interesting to hear from Loic Duval. Car 23, Nick Heidfeld, is under investigation for something.
I think he went past when Buemi was spun. Maybe he improved his time.
Maybe I didn't think he did, because he was a 10th behind Prost, and then Prost gained a couple of tenths. So I don't think Heidfeld improved on that lap. But whatever the case, Nico Prost continues to impress us and to some extent surprise us this year. I think when he was up against Buemi, you thought Buemi would have the advantage there, but time and time again Prost has proved himself.
He has, and in qualifying too, just nailed it. Just, you know, we're not saying he's going to be on pole position by any stretch here, but he's made a really good go at it there, and quite a margin, 3.5 tenths.
So there you can see Prost the quickest man of anyone, Heidfeld second, Buemi third. A little salute from Nico. Trulli 4th and Duval 5th. Trulli so just under a second slower than Nico Prost. But now it's up to the other 15 drivers to get out there. And the investigation that Heidfeld's under for is, well, too much energy, I'm hearing. But there's a difference between energy and power. I'm not quite sure how he could use too much energy in the qualifying run. So maybe he overdid the power on his 200 kilowatt laps. Maybe it just creeped a little bit over, because it is quite difficult actually to accurately get the right amount of power coming out of your power unit. But now we get ready for our second group of drivers, and the 2 apt cars are going to be out in it. And yes, just had it confirmed that it is a power usage issue that Heidfeld is under investigation for. He used more than the 200 kilowatts of power that he was allowed to. That is the investigation so far. These are the coolest things ever.
I've got to get me one of those. Imagine the damage.
Can you get me one as well?
That. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I think I would really crash on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Having crashed a Hobie Cat last week.
Yeah, you impress me. You can crash anything.
Pretty much.
So the next 5 cars we're going to have out there are Sam Bird for Virgin, who's going to be one to watch, Chandok for Mahindra, De Grassi, championship leader, Speed and Apt.
This is a fairly stacked group here. You know, Bird, Chandok.
But I already told you, I was coming.
De Grassi.
I'm just listening to Heidfeld, and I think he thinks he's under investigation for holding someone up.
The car was better, balance was better with the changes, nothing outstanding. It was not like, ooh, there's now something big change. The big problem for me is to lock the front in the first lap, because regen is not there. You know, we have to start on 95%.
What is they do a true lap?
Okay. I thought you were not allowed on the out lap to do 2 laps.
Yeah.
Some question about the rules there.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So when the battery's at its fullest, when you first go out of the pits, the amount of regen you get isn't as much, because there's nothing to regen into, because the battery's
charge.
full.
Yeah.
So when he comes down to turn 1, that big stopping zone, he's not getting any help from the regen braking, because there's no regen.
And this is something we talked about for the race as well. On those opening laps, these guys are dealing with massive shifts in brake balance. You can change the brake balance in the car by there's a lever in there that you can do that. These guys are changing it by massive amounts that you have no other formula, because as it starts to regen, it starts to move the braking in a different direction. You've really got to chase that, and which is some of the accidents we've seen on the opening laps of races have been due to that. And here we go now. there's Karun Chandok in the Mahindra car heading out.
Yep. So it's him, the two Apt cars with Apt and Degrassi at the wheel. Scott Speed out there for Andretti and Sam Bird for Virgin. This is another strong group, as you were saying, and the man at the front of it is Sam Bird.
We see Sam Bird there in the Virgin car, and then next up we've got Lucas Degrassi. Daniel Apt gets some heat in the tyres there. At least they've got that sort of half lap to get the temperature in the tyres, get the battery down a little bit to get the regen more consistent, and then they can start the qualifying laps.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the double right hand as they come. Out at the far point of the circuit, turns 2 and 3, up on 11th, back on 12th, and then turning right at Museum Park.
We're seeing all this different scenery in the background and all the different buildings. These guys, all they're seeing is a tunnel.
Yeah.
That is it. They will know nothing about what's behind those walls. That is the life of a driver on a street circuit.
Down towards the left-hander, there's Scott Speed. Quite easy to spot, actually, at the wheel of the Andretti car. It's like the Stig's driving it. And let's hope Scott can be as quick as the Stig and not get involved in any fracases this weekend.
Who is the Stig now?
I don't. It's a secret, isn't it? That's the point.
It's never a secret, is it?
Right.
Somebody's going to know. Anyway, here we go. Coming through over the train tracks here, coming up to turn 8. This first lap, they might just be sort of playing themselves in here, getting everything up to temperature.
Well, we'll see when they come across the first sector split in a couple of moments' time. Sam Bird is the first man across it, and he's a second down. So is Degrassi. So I think we are seeing, as the e.dams guys did last time out, they've probably watched that and gone. Some of them have probably gone, "Oh, that's a good idea."
Yeah. The more experience these guys get, the more qualifying sessions, the more any practice, race practice, whatever, the more experience they get, the more they hone in on what actually is the most efficient way to do anything, and that's what we're seeing yet again today.
This is a cool shot, isn't it? Underneath the MacArthur Causeway, underneath the monorail line, and then back down Biscayne Boulevard. A really, really cool place to have a race, and it's awesome to be here in Miami. Through the left-hander, then comes Sam Bird. And
Sam's just slowed down just a little bit here, getting ready to start that lap, to open the lap there. And everybody behind him now is going to concertina up and have to slow and get their own gap to start their qualifying laps.
So across the line comes Sam Bird, the man who was quickest in free practice, the man who's second in the championship standings. He starts his qualifying lap, chased down by Lucas Degrassi, the man who's leading the championship and won the opening round of the season in Beijing. Then we've got Scott Speed, who I think has backed off there.
He is backed up. This is typical. They've got you've got 5 cars on the track, and they're all nose to tail, and then complaining about traffic afterwards.
And there's a yellow at turn 5 has come out,
yep,
which is the heat, the left-hander before they come back. So
we're missing Karun, aren't we?
Yeah. So has Karun had a moment at turn 5? We'll try and keep an eye out for that one. There's the Virgin team watching on. Alex Tai standing next to Jaime Alguersuari, and there is Sam Bird out there on the circuit. And well, he's pushing, isn't he, as he comes through Museum Park?
He is, but turn 5, he's going to have to take it easy.
That's the thing. I was wondering if maybe teams would come over the radio and say, look, there's a yellow, bail on this one. I can't see.
No,
it's gone in. It's gone in just as Sam Bird arrives and comes through the left-hander, so this is okay.
I like Sam's style. I like the way he drives the car. I've said it before. Something cool about that, just the way he approaches a corner.
Into the final corner comes Sam Bird across the line. Is he able to challenge Nico Prost at the top? He comes through and goes third quickest.
Good first lap.
0.6 of a second down. A good first lap. Degrassi comes across the line 5th. Daniel Apt comes across the line 3rd. Good lap for Daniel Apt in the Apt car. And this is on board with Scott Speed coming down Biscayne Boulevard now, about to turn left. And then you'll see the American Airlines Arena appear now on the left-hand side, past the Miami Heat store, where you can go and buy your merchandise, which I might do actually. But he's just about to start a flying lap, isn't he? Because we saw him back off. So Speed's on it now.
But he's got to be careful because he's back. He's on a lap now, and the other cars in front of him are all backing off. And the closing speeds are massive. So you've got to hope that these guys are really paying attention ahead of him.
Through the right-hander.
It's a bit exciting, wasn't it?
Freedom Tower he comes. Oh, yeah, Karun's hit something, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's crabbing like Joe's crabs on South Beach.
Has he got time to change that toe link? Is there enough? Because he needs to get back to the pits.
But he must have... But he went off at turn 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that car is...
That's properly done.
To use a technical term, messed up.
I think they've obviously told him, do a lap.
Yeah.
Do a lap. I wonder if he's hit the right rear. That's kind of looks like a damage on the right rear there.
But that must have happened at I don't quite know how he would have done it at turn 5, but that's where the yellow flag was. Oh, on the exit, yeah.
What you're going to have here, though, is on the right-handers, it's not such a big problem on the right-handers because it's the left-hand side of the car loaded up. Turn 1, on the other hand, is going to be interesting. I wish we could watch turn 1 here and actually see Karun attempt to get through there.
Now Scott Speed's on a quick lap and he's been held up by Di Grassi. Yeah. So that is bad news for Scott Speed, held up by Lucas Di Grassi, and so that means as a result he does a 1 minute 7.3. We go down to put 5 cars on the track, because if you put 20 cars on the track it would be carnage. You'd think with 5 they'd be able to sort it out.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, ultimately you've got to look at the slower car there, which was Lucas, and he should have been paying more attention. But the closing speeds are so vast that it's a tough one.
So there is Di Grassi, just a little bit down on Nico Prost in the first sector, but a pretty good first sector. Same can be said of Sam Bird. Both of them are less than a tenth of a second down in that sector 1. And in fact, Di Grassi's done a 17.9. That's a very good first sector for the Brazilian. The championship leader comes into the right-hander at Museum Park now to head back out down Biscayne Boulevard. Sam Bird, the Englishman, is a little bit further back in the order, and they're the only 2. No, Daniel Apps on flying laps as well.
Very, very close to Prost's bogey time there.
Daniel Apps has just done the fastest middle sector of anyone. His first sector wasn't great, so we're going to see some really quick times coming. Di Grassi bouncing all over the place.
That was on the limit there.
Now,
I think he got the wall there on the exit.
I think so. He comes across the line and goes second quickest, a quarter of a second down on Di Grassi. Here comes Daniel Abt. Sam Bird comes across the line and goes second quickest, 0.003 of a second down. Can Daniel Abt go quicker? No, he remains in third place, pushing his teammate down to fourth.
Second.
the top 3 are covered by less than a tenth of a second. Here comes Scott Speed. Now, it'll be interesting to see what Scott Speed's situation is with regards to power. Whether he can go again or whether he's got to go at 150, but we'll wait and see.
He's on a lap now. When you saw Di Grassi enter turn 6 there, trust me, he was coming off the brakes saying, oh, please just turn, because he was completely out of control.
So, we've just got Scott Speed left out there because I think everyone else has done their 2 flyers, plus the checker flag will be out in 30 seconds. Speed is down. 3/10 down, but I think he's got no choice but to go for it.
More traffic again. This is the problem with that strategy. And just once you've committed to it, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Speed's on full power. We get the telemetry info sometimes as he comes down towards the second sector now, half a second down. So this isn't a bad run from Speed. This could still put him up in about 6th place of the 10 guys that have been so far. It's not ideal, but
no. But you'd have to say he's got the power turned up to be that close.
Yeah. Into the left-hander he comes at the heat, down towards AAA, the final corner on the circuit. Through the right-hander now, and if he's somewhere in the 7s, I think that'll be a reasonable effort for Speed across the line.
Very
and it's a
good.
6.5.
Very good.
Very good final sector, quickest final sector of anyone. Really impressive as he takes the checker flag. And so that concludes our second qualifying group, but you can see how frustrated he is.
Yeah, but you have to remember, the turn 1 is the start of his last lap. He got traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael's on the radio. I mean, Mike can get, he might get as frustrated as the next guy, so they could be quite a fiery combination.
So there's Karun Chandok.
Tell you what, what did he do? A 7.2 Karun with that car with
yeah, it's not bad actually.
Slightly rearranged suspension.
Yeah,
that's quite impressive.
Well,
we've seen that though, a couple of races now. We've seen guys hit the wall in qualifying. We thought, oh, that's it done, and they've managed to grab a lap out of it.
Yeah, Daniel Abt in particular in Malaysia ended up qualifying 4th, I think, after hitting the wall at the final corner.
Yeah, it takes some doing that more in confidence, because if that suspension does break, you're going to have a big one.
Yeah.
But the bravery of these guys, yeah, quite impressive.
So here's a look at how it stands so far. Halfway through qualifying, Nico Prost, the quickest man of anyone, 0.003 of a second ahead of Sam Bird, who in turn was less than a tenth of a second ahead of Daniel Abt. Lucas Di Grassi, a quarter of a second back in 4th. Nick Heidfeld, 5th at the moment. And then in 6th place, we've got Scott Speed, after finally managing to salvage something from his session. 7th place, Sebastian Buemi. 8th is Jarno Trulli. 9th is Karun Chandok. And 10th, and slowest of the drivers we've had out so far, is Loic Duval. And looking ahead to the groups that are coming, that could well be our sort of top 3 on the grid, because They are very, very quick drivers, but we've got some very quick guys left to come. Liuzzi in the next session, along with Jean-Eric Vergne, Stefan Sarazan as well. Nelson Piquet Jr. trying to keep up his good run because he qualified second, actually, in Punta del Este. Jaime Alguersuari in the final group, along with D'Ambrosio Senna, and then Da Costa and Duran for the Amlin squad. So it's all to play for, but at 106.1, you've got to get into the fives now if you want to take pole position, and that's going to be astonishingly tough.
Strictly true, Jack. You've only got to do a 106, 1.676. But on present form, I'm not going to say a word.
So let's hear from Nico Prost. Will he be on pole position at the end of this qualifying session? Let's find out.
Nico Prost, just a 3,000th of a second between you and Sam Bird. Can you hold on and make this a hat-trick in pole positions?
I don't know. Obviously, I'm quite happy with my performance. I don't think I could go much quicker. Now, let's see. There's still some good drivers to come. I don't know how the track, we've seen in the last few races, early groups were quite good, but this morning we had very little running, so the track might clean up and still become a bit quicker. Let's just see. I mean, I can't change anything now, so let's just wait.
Having less running time, does that affect you psychologically?
It affects everyone. You have to be focused, and it's obviously not the ideal situation, but you have to do something. Like not push too hard and post a good lap. And I did that, and now let's see. If I start from pole, it's great. If I start from top 5, it will still be okay, and then we'll see the race.
What will you be doing now between the race?
Drink a bit of water and then see with my engineers how we can improve. Strategy is going to be important, and the heat is coming up, so we know the heat is a big factor in these races.
Thanks very much.
Very cool, calm and collected Nico Prost there, talking to Nicky Shields after setting pole position. And there's our man again. I'm not 100% sure what they're called, like jet boards or something, but they're very cool nevertheless. And Karun Chandok is under investigation as well, and that too is for using too much power potentially, but we'll wait and see whether they get any penalties for that. That won't take place until after the qualifying session. So there you can see the causeway there. The right hand side, those awnings are the pit buildings, then the track is one step further in, and then they come down through the kink, you can just see there, down towards Freedom Tower. And a flyboard, that's it, Bayside flyboard. Thank you very much for helping me out there. And they're getting a little bit of advertising, aren't they? That's very nice for them. But I think everyone wants a flyboard because they're just cool. So there is Jean-Eric Vergne about to head out onto the circuit. Took pole position in his first ever race in Formula E around the streets of Punta del Este. Struggled in Buenos Aires because he still had a strong race, but wasn't quite as up at the front as before. Stefan Sarazan is a man who will want to improve on his performances so far this season because he's had the pace but just hasn't come right at the times it needs to.
I think we could say that for most of the guys at the back. There's nobody you think, oh, they've just not been quick enough. That is, it's just been if they've managed to get a result. I mean, look at Heidfeld. He's been bloody quick, but as you say, the first race he was leading it, but he was upside down as he was leading it. So, I can't repeat myself. I can't tell you how impressed I am with the level of driver in this series. And we get some of the IndyCar guys have got time off, they start getting in as well. You've got a very, very strong field.
Absolutely. So there is the start straight, and we'll see what happens. I imagine that most of there's the Team China Racing gang, and they've got Nelson Piquet and Charles Pic both out in this session, and there is Nelson Piquet Jr. Podiums in the last two races as he comes through the right-hander. But I imagine we're going to see the same strategy take place with these guys as we saw previous. So the first lap not flying, and then 2 laps after that with turned up to full power at 200 kilowatts. Out they come.
You see on the Team China cars at Nextev, that's their new supplier of or partner of the powertrain for next year. So they're obviously getting involved in that.
Yeah, and I imagine that comes from because they're a Spanish company, and it's the Campos racing team who are part of the China squad. We go on board now with Jean-Eric Vergne then as he comes through the first corner.
7.
Yeah, so he's owned at 150 power, so he's going to push, but this won't be a sort of a pole lap.
No, this is him just sort of getting warmed up here. If you look on the side of he's got 93% of usable energy left, and you'll see here 4th gear. Watch as he brakes, it might go into regen. And he's not regenerating at all there. He's decided not to regen at all. Locking the rears just a little bit. He might start adjusting on that just to perfect it for that his lap when he's really going to go. Slowed it down through here.
I guess there isn't any regen at the moment as well, because you don't want to regen because you want to have the regen available when you're flying lap cuts.
Yeah. But you've got to get that brake balance set up, so you want this lap to be as you would be on your flyer. You'll see him probably through here, through turn 5. Once he gets through there, he'll turn up the wick.
Yellow flag somewhere out there on the circuit.
Turn 1 there.
Okay, so he comes through the left-hander, and it's gone back in, so someone's just overshot turn 1. But now you'll see Jean-Eric Vergne come through the final corner, turn it up to 200.
No, he hasn't turned it up.
Unless well, we'll see. Maybe he will now.
No,
that's interesting. So a slightly different. Maybe he just wants another lap out there to get to grips with the circuit. But he's taking his hand off the wheel there and is just sort of chilling. So that's interesting.
Is he getting brake temperature? I don't know. Oh, there we go.
It's Charles Pic who's just gone off a little bit at turn 1. Managed to keep it together. Well, not to hit anything anyway, and just had a bit of a harmless off there at the first corner.
None of the guys in this group have actually really done a time yet. Jeb's 1:11.6.
Sarrazin has just done, so now they're starting to do the quick laps. Sarrazin's just done an 18.0. Piquet Jr. has done an 18.2 in Sector 1. We're watching Piquet Jr. He's going slightly slower than Stefan Sarrazin behind him, but nevertheless, he's pushing pretty hard as he comes down. We'll get him through the Sector 2 timing screen in a minute, a 21.9, which is a decent middle sector.
It's okay, isn't it?
And he's gone quicker than Sarrazin in that middle sector, so we'll see where this will put Nelson Piquet Jr. But we saw people improving by about half a second on their second full-speed flying lap.
Locking the rears there a bit into turn 6. Oh, that was close. If he didn't hit that was, yeah.
Up into 7th place then, Nelson Piquet Jr. Here comes Sarrazin across the line, and is he going to jump up the order? Up into 8th place, but like I say, we've seen people tend to get 5, 6 tenths on their second flying lap, which would put those two really up into pole position contention, because they're both 7 tenths off at the moment.
Yeah, top 8 of cars now covered by 7 tenths.
Here comes Charles Pic down towards the right-hander of AAA.
Jean-Eric Vergne's just gone quickest through the first segment there.
At 17.8, that's a tenth of a second quicker than anyone else. So Jean-Eric Vergne in the Andretti car, having had 2 sort of outlaps, as it were, is now absolutely on it.
Be great to get a view of him there.
Charles Pic's backing off now, having set his lap. Here we go, on board with Jean-Eric Vergne, coming out through turn 4 Museum Park, now down Boulevard.
21.9 second split.
Not bad. Now into, that's not good.
Did he get it turned in?
Just about.
Just lost some time there for sure. Just locking the outside rear, which is kind of odd.
But that's,
outside front, I'm sorry.
But that's what happened to Vergne in qualifying in Buenos Aires as well. Lockups couldn't quite get it all wrapped up together. Across the line comes Vergne. What's he going to do? Quickest. 105.953 for Jean-Eric Vergne. The Andretti car goes quickest. Who else is out there? Liuzzi's just done a good first sector, an 18.0. Vergne will now, I imagine, back off. I don't think he'll do 2 back-to-back flyers. So Vergne's now just cruising around. Here's Tonio Liuzzi coming out of Museum Park and back down the boulevard. He's got Pic in front of him. Oh yeah, 22.5, not a great middle sector. But he's still going to be pushing, because this is, of course, his first time out in Formula E. He was here on holiday, and Jarno Trulli called him up and said, "Seen as you're here, mate, do you want to have a little go?" So he's in a borrowed Jarno Trulli helmet that he's painted up to look a bit like his own. Comes out of the final corner. Across the line comes Liuzzi, up into 8th place, which is not bad at all. We've had 15 drivers out there so far.
But Jarno would have saved the money on the travel expenses.
Yeah, there's always positives, aren't there? So Tonio Liuzzi goes 8th quickest. Here now is Sarrazin. What's he done in Sector 1? 18.0. Middle sector's good as well, so this could be a potentially top 5 sort of region for Sarrazin if he can hook up the final sector.
It's not a pole lap, is it? Oh, locked the rears there as soon as he touched the brake pedal.
Into the heat. Now out, down the little stretch on 8th Street. And then the final corner at AAA. Turns into the right-hander. And now across the line. What's this going to do for Stefan Sarrazin? Across the line, 5th quickest. So not bad at all for Stefan Sarrazin. He'll be pretty pleased with that. Piquet Jr. now is winding up to do his second flying lap. Turns it up to 200 and heads across the line now. Let's see what Piquet's got.
So close to the wall in turn 6 every lap. might have a little touch here on the way out on this sort of last lap, last effort for the pole position.
Yeah, Charles Pic is struggling out there. We're on board with Jean-Eric Vergne. He's done a 17.8 in sector 1. It's a slower 17.8, but it's still the quickest first sector we've seen compared to anyone else, and he's half a tenth up on his time coming through sector 2. What an impressive performance this is from Jean-Eric Vergne. What an addition to the series he's been for Andretti. Down into the heat at turn 5, locks it up again.
Locked again. But he still, I think that was even better. That was a better corner. Bit of oversteer on the way out with the torque of the electric motor there kicking in.
Piquet Jr.'s up in the middle sector, further up than Vergne is. So into the final corner comes Jean-Eric Vergne, the Frenchman for Andretti across the line. Does he improve? No, he doesn't. 2 tenths slower, but Nelson Piquet Jr. has got quickest of anyone in the middle sector. Can he be the man to take provisional pole position here in Miami? The man who used to live here comes into the final corner at turn number 6. All neat and tidy, almost hits the wall, across the line, second quickest, not quite, half a tenth of a second down on Jean-Eric Vergne. That man Nico Prost is shuffled down to 3rd, but what a duel this is turning into at the top of the times. Disappointed Nico Prost, but Vergne and Piquet on it.
Absolutely. Again, Jean-Eric Vergne has been such a good addition there. And Piquet just nailed that lap. Wow. Sam Bird down to P4.
Yeah, and Charles Pic didn't really get it hooked up, and he's 14th out of the 15 drivers.
Yeah. We might be seeing what we talked about, the track actually improving this week because of the limited running in, you know, as it was only one session. That might actually be coming true this week, and Nico Prost had mentioned it earlier. Very good job by both Vergne and Piquet there. I
thought Piquet was going to have that then when he was a tenth of a second up on Vergne. He must have lost basically a tenth and a half in that final sector.
It's so easily done. You know, they haven't really driven the track enough to get into that very familiar rhythm. But after this qualifying session and at the start of the race, I think they'll be getting there.
So here's a look at the provisional standings at the moment with 5 drivers left to run. Jean-Eric Vergne is on provisional pole position, less than half a tenth of a second ahead of Nelson Piquet Jr. And they both are a good chunk ahead of Nico Prost in 3rd place, Bird in 4th, Abt 5th, Sarrazin in 6th position, De Grassi, Heidfeld, Speed and Liuzzi completing the top 10. And then Sebastian Buemi, let's not forget about Buemi. He didn't get it hooked up, which at the time didn't seem like a massive deal, but now he's down in 11th place. And so the best he'll be is 11th. The worst he could be is 16th on the grid, the man who's 3rd in the championship standings at the moment. And then it's Trulli, Chandok, Pic and Duval. Vergne says he didn't know something, he didn't have the radio.
The guy can't fix it, so.
But there can't be too many complaints. And there's Stephen Liu there on the left-hand side, the man in charge for the China racing team, and he'll be very happy with the 2nd place provisionally at the moment. And it looks pretty good for Nelson Piquet to have a good run tomorrow. Not even tomorrow, later on today. In about 3 hours' time, the race will be getting underway. A thumbs up from Nelson Piquet Jr. So close to nabbing that pole position, but Jean-Eric Vergne is the man who has held on for the time being. So at the moment, the top 2 are the same top 2 in Punta del Este. Vergne on pole, Piquet 2nd, but we've still got 5 more drivers to come. Jaime Alguersuari, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Bruno Senna, Antonio Felix da Costa, and Salvador Duran. There you can see the order on the left-hand side of your screen as the rooftop pool begins to get a little bit busier with the anticipation, that's my best Sean Connery, building over the final 5 cars to head out in the qualifying session. And there's what's that, taking off or landing?
He looks like he's trying to get off, yeah. Come on, old son.
Give it some jandal.
Exactly, give it the jandal. Let's see. Is he? No.
Oh, he's gone purple in sector 1.
He has. He must have a. No, he's stopped.
Well, maybe he's landed and he's just driving to the shore. But anyway, who knows? We've got a couple of moments before, as you can tell, before the before the final qualifying segment gets underway here in Miami. And it's just brilliant, isn't it? It's wonderful to be here.
It has. It's changed so much. The first time I came down here was '97, and I can't tell you how much this downtown has changed since then. Just the amount of development constantly going on.
Taking to the circuit and try and improve the qualifying performances for Amnon Aguri. Felix da Costa finished 8th, I think it was, in qualifying in Buenos Aires, and then went on to win the race. But their pace in free practice wasn't ideal. This is Jaime Alguersuari in the silver and purple Virgin car. He's being chased by Jerome D'Ambrosio in the black and silver Dragon racing machine. And just a reminder, they're allowed to use 2 laps at full 200 kilowatts of power. But that's it. If you start your 200 kilowatts of power lap and mess up, that's it. You're done. You can't then go back around and have another go.
That puts a lot of pressure on the driver. Really does. Kind of much like qualifying tyres or with qualifying engines back in the day, which was really cool. It puts that pressure on you to perform. And most championships are the same because the tyres have a very limited life with slick tyres normally. We don't have that here with the Michelins, but you've still got a sweet spot to go.
So across the line they come, and so far in this session today we've seen them go for another exploratory lap at 150 kilowatts of power before then cranking it up after that to 200. We usually get an idea when they come through the first sector split of whether they're doing that or not. Here comes Alguersuari, yeah, 1.3 seconds, D'Ambrosio 1.3 seconds too. So this will just be, as I say, an exploratory lap for these guys. And just a reminder, Jaime Alguersuari for Virgin, Jerome D'Ambrosio for Dragon, Bruno Senna for Mahindra, he's going to be one to watch, and Da Costa and Duran are the last guys out, both of them racing for Amnin Aguri as they come back underneath the MacArthur Causeway at the Museum Park station there on the left-hand side, and back down Biscayne Boulevard. You can see the grandstand starting to fill, the race getting underway in 3 hours' time. And that's going to be a big learning curve for these drivers as well, when they're actually forced to race out there on the circuit that they've had, you know, maximum 30 laps experience on. And oh, look at that, Da Costa, he's getting right at wide.
I don't know what he's trying to achieve there. Yeah, he got held up there, and Ambrosio caused him some issue. But
unless Da Costa actually had turned up to 200 and was pushing on that that opening lap,
was just cruising there again.
Yeah. So no one in this first group has set a really competitive lap time. Da Costa did a 7.6. So I wonder if Da Costa had turned it up to 200, but everyone else was just chilling out there. So Alguersuari has done D'Ambrosio's done an 18.2 in Sector 1. Senna's done an 18.1 in Sector 1. So Bruno Senna is the man to watch. Salvador Duran's just jumped up to 11th position in that second Amlin car. That's Antonio Felix Da Costa just cruising around. But here's the man to watch, Jerome D'Ambrosio, 22.1. Middle sector's all right. Wait and see what Bruno Senna does when he comes across the line in the middle sector. D'Ambrosio coming down towards the left-hander. Here's the Senna running clock. You can see at the bottom right, and he's done a 22.6.
That's not going to do it, is it?
So let's see where D'Ambrosio ends up. Yellow flags are out somewhere on the circuit. That won't affect D'Ambrosio as he comes across the line and goes 10th quickest. 8/10 of a second slower, but as we've seen, about 6/10 of a second. Oh, it's Senna. It's Senna.
D'Ambrosio's got some work to do. Oh, here we go.
Is this going to be a repeat of Buemi? No, he's just going to...
So far, so good. Did he hit the wall? No.
No, he's all... Oh, maybe it is a repeat of Buemi, actually. Oh, yeah, double front lock-up and can't get it stopped.
Just locked it on the way in. Like I said before, these guys are constantly changing the brake balance, constantly chasing it, and as the temperature gets into the car, the regen changes, all this is got to be adjusted for corner to corner.
So that's one of Bruno Senna's laps gone. Will Jean-Eric Verne there in the middle be on pole position? He's still on provisional pole position at the moment. Who's out there pushing then? Jaime Alguersuari is an 18.2 in Sector 1.
This is a lap for Alguersuari.
It's not a great, he's half a second down, well, 4/10 of a second down at the first sector. This is his second flying lap, I think.
I think first lap at 200. A little moment there going into turn 3. Little traffic ahead here. Is this going to be a factor?
Less than half a second down on Jean-Eric Verne. The traffic in front is Jerome D'Ambrosio.
See, he's drafting here, trying to get a bit of help. Anything counts, any little advantage you can get. 21.9 middle sector.
That's not bad, the middle sector from Alguersuari. Right. So I think this could put him in the top 10.
He's going to make up for that first section, which wasn't good.
Into the final right-hander and across the line.
Okay, mate, good lap, but we are now cool down. For one lap, you have time. We have time to get across the line. So we are cool down lap.
So that was Jaime Alguersuari being told decent lap, but now we're going into cool down mode.
D'Ambrosio P10.
The understeer is crazy. It's big understeer mid corner.
Okay, so that's Jaime Alguersuari complaining about the understeer.
Okay, that's understood.
Here's Bruno.
So Senna is recovered now and has cruised around, but the man on a lap is Salvador Duran. In fact, Jerome D'Ambrosio is just on a 17.8 in sector 1. D'Ambrosio's on it for Dragon because that's the second quickest first sector we have seen so far in this qualifying session. So he's making his way now up around the sort of MacArthur Causeway area, 3rd and 4th. This is Bruno Senna, who's just started his lap, but here's now D'Ambrosio.
He's pushing hard.
You can hear the tyres squealing. Let's see what his middle sector is. A sort of mid to high 21 is ideal, and it's a 22.2.
Yeah, no. He's thrown it away somewhere, hasn't he?
He might be able to improve from his 10th position, nevertheless, but I don't think he's going to challenge for the provisional pole position. Down into AAA, the final corner before the timing line. Across the line comes D'Ambrosio, jumps up to 8th, so not ideal, but a decent-ish lap. Meanwhile, Antonio Felix da Costa's done an 18.1 in sector 1, which is a pretty decent time. Bruno Senna's all right at the moment. We're watching him now come down into the left-hander where his teammate Karun Chandok had a bit of a drama. Through the left, now up towards AAA. And this could be a decent top 10 position for Senna if he can hook up the final corner. Tucks it in nicely and across the line, keeps it all neat and tidy on the exit. 17th.
Oh.
17th for Bruno Senna, was not expecting that. So da Costa is the only man. Oh, and he's locking up as he comes down into 5. I was about to say he's the only man left out there who can really push. Alguersuari's done a decent first sector, so we'll have a look at him in a moment. But here comes Antonio Felix da Costa through the final, right-hander on the circuit and across the line. But that's slow, actually, isn't it? 2.8 seconds down.
Sounds like Senna was actually just cruising into that last corner. I don't know what was going on there, but he lifted very early rather than braking. He lifted and coasted, so maybe he backed off.
A 22.0 in the middle sector for Jaime Alguersuari is not superb, and it was a 28.4 in that final sector for Antonio Felix da Costa. That's where he lost the time with that moment at turn 5. But here comes Jaime Alguersuari through the final corner. Not been a great middle sector for the Spaniard. Can he get himself up into the top 10 across the line? Yes, 9th position for Jaime Alguersuari in the Virgin team. The checker flag comes out, and I think that is all our runners completed. Da Costa's still out there. He's done an 18.7 in sector 1. Alguersuari has taken
half a tenth between the top 10, from 1st to 10th, half a tenth of a second, just a little over. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's close enough, isn't it?
Yeah, 0.557 seconds between Jean-Eric Verne on pole position and Nick Heidfeld on 10th position. So I'm pretty sure we've had everyone out there now, and yeah, that's Antonio Felix da Costa slowing down. So Jean-Eric Verne takes his 2nd pole position in his reasonably short Formula E career. A wonderful performance from the Frenchman. He will start on pole position. It's a repeat of the front row that we had for the 3rd round of the championship in Punta del Este, and it'll be Jean-Eric Verne for Andretti Autosports to start on pole position. The perfect result for them on what is such a big weekend. Nelson Piquet Jr., 2nd quickest for Team China Racing, half a tenth of a second behind. So close, but he'll be 2nd on the grid. Nico Prost 3rd, Sam Bird 4th, Aptin 5th, De Grassi down in 7th. That's not ideal for him. Nick Heidfeld down there in 10th position, but the championship leader in 7th is going to be a disappointment. And Sebastian Buemi 14th with his teammate 3rd. I think we'll have a very disappointed Swiss after that. Scott Speed a solid 11th. Could have been more after he ran into troubles, but nevertheless 11th is a pretty decent run. Charles Pic and Loic Duval completing the top 20. Antonio Felix da Costa not able to get better than 18th place. Now let's hear from our pole man, Jean-Eric Verne.
Well, Jean-Eric Verne, you obviously did do enough.
Like always, but there is no big curbs in here, so it should be easy on the suspension. Plus, we've got some new suspension that should be a little bit better, so I don't think that should be a problem.
Good luck, thank you. Nelson Piquet, we've 2 consecutive races and 2 podiums. Can we make it a hat trick?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. You know, one of our weakest points was qualifying, and we seem to be getting better. You know, obviously, last race we didn't qualify very well, but it seems like we improved and we learned a little bit from last race. So happy to be in Miami. This is a second home for me, and have my family around and friends. So it's always good to have a good starting position, and looking forward to the race. And it's a beautiful day, beautiful town, and can't wait to start.
It is beautiful. Now, have you brought your podium goggles along with you today?
Well, first I bring the glasses, and then the goggles are for later on.
Oh, I see. So it's glasses first. Well, you better put them on then.
Yeah, my special 100% glasses.
We hope you see those goggles later. And Nico Prost, third. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Group 1 was so good for today, so I'm happy, you know, P3 is already a good performance. I couldn't go much quicker, like I said, so, you know, I did my best, but Jean-Eric was quicker, you know, so now let's see the race. I think we can have a good opportunity today, so let's see.
And it looks like there's quite a long run at the start. How are you going to approach that?
Yeah, it's going to be a long run to turn 1, which is definitely better to start up front. You know, I wouldn't like to be starting P15, but yeah, hopefully I can get a good start. Let's see what happens, but just get through first corner and then manage the race. It's going to be a long race with the heat today, so we have to manage, keep the car running, you know, not have any problems, take care of it, and I'm sure we can get a good result.
Thanks very much. Good luck.
So Nico Prost will start third. In second place, it will be Nelson Piquet Jr. and on pole position will be Jean-Eric Vergne. So a wonderful day in Miami has culminated in a wonderful qualifying session, and in 3 hours' time, hopefully, we'll have a wonderful race. Lucas Di Grassi is the man on top of the championship standings, but a difficult qualifying for him. 7th place means he's going to have his work cut out. Sam Bird in there as well. Sebastian Buemi down in 14th position on the grid. He's in 3rd place in the standings at the moment, so the opportunity really is there for Prost and Piquet Jr. to really bring themselves into the title fight at the end of the race this afternoon. Brune Chandler and Bruno Senna 9th and 10th, and it was 17th and 18th on the grid for the Mahindra team, so I think they're going to be very, very upset about that. This is a chance as well for Jean-Eric Vergne to pick up some points. 15th in the standings at the moment with 11. He could launch himself into the 30s if he's able to win the race. So Jean-Eric Vergne is the man on pole position, and he's currently the man leading the fan boost votes. You can find out the fan boost order online. He's leading. Salvador Duran is second, Bruno Senna third, Heidfeld fourth, and Sam Bird is in fifth. So you've still got a couple of hours to put your votes in and give your driver an extra boost in before the race gets underway, or once the race is underway. But Jean-Eric Vergne, currently with a fan boost and starting on pole position, is going to be a very, very happy chap over this brief lunch break. So, predictions for the race, Derek?
None. I'm not making a prediction. I think it's going to be a really good race. Anything can happen. We've proved it many, many times this year. I have no idea. Definitely a plus to start up front. If any of the guys that aren't up front, anybody that gets the fan boost, will make a big difference to the day with these two long straights.